So, the question is it possible to truly live on a boat full-time and stay on a reasonable budget? We're going to talk about that today, and we're going to look at the number one or the most common expenses of living on a boat. So yeah, if you're thinking about owning a boat and you haven't before, pretty much you have to always plan on how often you're going to haul it out of the water, and really it needs to be probably, for most boats, within every 2 years, about every 2 years or less, you want to plan to haul it out. So that's one of the bigger expenses of owning a boat, is paying to have it hauled out and do work on the boat that you can't do when it's in the water. So definitely something to consider. Now, as I recall, when I would haul out my big catamaran here, the total haul out expense I think was around $2,500, and that included hauling it out and power washing it, storing it for a certain amount of time, and then splashing it again. Then if you want to keep it on the ground for any length of time, you pay a monthly rent for that. And it's up here in the Chesapeake Bay, at this place it's relatively affordable, but in some places all this stuff can get tremendously expensive.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself.
So our friend's hauling out today. David just stepped on the boat with him because it's just him, and I know what it's like to have to haul out all by yourself. I did that before, so I just helped send them off the docks safely in the right direction. So now they're gonna come around and the lift's gonna get ready to pull them out. It's a Lagoon 42. Lagoon 42 is actually a pretty wide boat, almost as wide as our Leopard 48, over 25 feet wide, and the lift is not a whole lot wider, so it's quite a little thing to have to slot into. Nice thing about a catamaran with these engines so spread far apart is you can just rotate them right in place pretty much. Do a 360-degree turn without taking up any extra space. Pretty cool. And the thing I liked about this, first time I pulled into this slip, I was kind of nervous about it. I pulled into this, haul out slot here because there's very little room to spare. Got like about a foot on each side at best when you're gonna 26-foot wide boat. So this is like 27 feet wide, this thing. So, but the thing I liked about it, and now that I've done it a couple times, is with this you got a nice straight shot coming in. You don't have to like turn right at the last second before you go in. I actually struggle more to go into these other slips where you have to come in and like do a 90-degree turn and park. I found this to be a little easier because you could be further out and kind of just get a straight shot at it and have the boat going kind of in a straight line, and then it just was just easier in a lot of ways for me. I actually like what he's done because we've got a wind blowing, so the wind's going to blow him sideways. So he's actually started his approach off center to this thing because he knows the wind's going to line him up. So that's pretty smart, because the one thing you can't control with the catamaran is that sideways drift when the wind pushes you. Now the wind is kind of shifted and kind of come around from the back too, so it's not a tremendous push to his side, but yeah, interesting. See the wind gonna start pushing him, crabbing him over. Now it's time to kind of get on it and get in there. But luckily guys are here to catch us, so it's no big deal. They made one adjustment, and now they're lifting her again, making sure they're happy with her, how she's sitting. Now they'll lift it far enough to look under the boat and actually see where the strap slid hit and make sure they're really happy with it. Make sure they didn't clip the rudder or put pressure on the rudders or something like that. And even to add to the whole haul out expense, even if you're not hauling out, you do have to clean the bottom on these boats if they're going to stay in the water. And honestly, I think you better be cleaning it probably about every 6 months if you want to keep the bottom in good shape. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to clean it myself. Well, how much bottom there is, and do you have, are you a scuba diver? I mean, you have to spend a lot of time under the water to clean the bottom of these boats. So yeah, so that's a factor. You got to pay someone who's got scuba equipment to go down under the boat on a regular basis, probably about every 4 to 6 months, to scrub that bottom clean. So there's another expense of having a boat in the water. So while we're here at a marina, it's the perfect time to talk about full-time living on a boat. And there are many kinds of boats that you could live on full-time. And we can actually see pretty much all the options here, right? So really, for the most part, the most affordable full-time living boat is a sailboat, for the obvious reason that you can propel yourself by the wind for free. So that really is hard to argue with. Most sailboats have the capability of traveling great distances, right? So if you really want to travel around, that's kind of nice. But you'll see here a lot of power boats also, and some of them are more along lines of like speedy kind of boats, right? And some of them are a little slower. Like trawler is a slow power boat, right? And trawler is very efficient. So I would say next to sailboat, if you're going to go power, you go to trawler, right? And then another very efficient boat is a catamaran that is not by sail, it is powered, which you see one right there, right? And then of course a sailing catamaran, which is tremendously stable and affordable to travel on, right? Because they travel by sail. So anyway, you got all the different types of boats here. Here in the haul out yard is the perfect place to talk about many of the expenses of full-time boat ownership. So this right here is a Seawind 1260. This is really a nice little boat. And they've hauled out, and we can see some of the things that have been done here, and it's pretty much, for this type of boat, things that everybody's going to do when you haul out a catamaran. These are the things you look at. So obviously new bottom paint is going to be a thing, and you can see this one's just got its new bottom paint because it's going to go in the water here real soon. In fact, it's already lifted in the air, right? That way they can paint under the keels where it was sitting on the blocks. So every time you haul out, you got to refresh the bottom paint. That pretty much means you need to sand everything down and paint new bottom paint on it. It's a tremendous amount of work. So if you're talking about sailboats, most sailboats these days have sail drives, which you see on here. And those sail drives need to be serviced on a regular basis, and I'd say about every 2 years, which is one of the main reasons that you need to pull your boat up every 2 years, because you need to service the sail drives. They have seals that have to replace, they have fluids that have to be replaced, and then you get down to your props, and these are folding props. Well, they need to be maintained and serviced too. So you've got the bottom of the boat to maintain, and you've got the sail drives to maintain, and you've got the props to maintain, and you need to do that in the realm of every 2 years. So we're looking at my friend's boat who just hauled out earlier today. This is one of the most common boats you see on the water. It's a Lagoon 42. And we can talk about some other things on this Lagoon 42. So right away, one of the things I'll look at, now you can see this is his bottom after, I think he's 18 months since he was in the water. And you can see the difference in the boat we just looked at, right? The bottom paint is ablative. It's meant to come off, and you can see, especially right at the front of the boat, this is pretty normal. How the bottom paint's pretty much all worn off, so all normal things for this boat. But when we go down under the boat and you look down, you see there are intakes and outputs under the waterline. There are holes in the bottom of the boat. These are through holes, and they bring water in or put water out depending on what the use is, and those obviously have to be serviced. So this is a Leopard 45, pretty new boat, and she even has an offshore tender, which is a pretty expensive little tender. It's my favorite tender, actually. I really like, this is one of my favorite boats and favorite tenders. This one is a perfect time to talk about the next thing that is a big expense of boat ownership. The next big expense of boat ownership is depreciation. And the reason I'm looking at this Leopard 45 is because it is pretty new. It's a perfect example of one of those expenses. So this is just like with everything, with a new car or motorhome or anything else. Your depreciation when you drive it off the lot, or in this case sail it out of the marina, you have a tremendous amount of depreciation. So you're talking about a boat that can be, Leopard 45 could be $1 million. I mean, depending how you set it up. So you pay that $1 million, and in a couple years, what's it worth? 500,000, 600,000? I mean, that's not impossible. It's probably not going to be that dramatic, but yeah, these boats lose value tremendously when you from new. So, and that's with, of course, anything. So when we're talking about depreciation, that is potentially a huge expense. And so then if you ask me, okay, how do you minimize that? How do you keep boating on a budget? Well, geez, these are all big expenses. Let's talk about how you keep all of them on a budget. For sure, if you want to stay on a budget and live on a boat, you have to be a handy person, because the only way to make it work is you got to be able to and willing to learn and do just about everything the boat needs as far as maintenance goes. To the point where if you can be the one who's down there sanding the bottom when you haul it out and changing your through hauls, and I don't know, maybe even servicing your own sail drives, right, and learning how to put the new seals in. And if you are a handy person who's not afraid to get your hands dirty, you can handle that maintenance by yourself. Well, and that's really gonna go a long way to keeping the budget in check. In the same way that I say you save money RVing by staying at RV parks, it kind of goes the same for boating. If you want to manage your expenses with boating, you need to stay out of the marinas. And if you're full-time live aboard on your boat, well then look out here. You can anchor all over the place in many different locations. As long as you have a good anchor, good chain, good windlass, then this is all free reign. There's anchorages all over, right? So yeah, if you ask me, being on anchor is a better place to be. Because then you get the best breeze. You don't have people right around you. This just a more comfortable place to be. As long as you trust your anchor and you're in a good spot, then yeah, it's definitely good. And we've over the years been in some beautiful anchorages. Definitely far more memorable than marinas I've been to. But now, having said that, marinas are also practical. If you need to leave your boat somewhere, you're not going to leave it out there on anchor. You're going to leave it tied up somewhere where someone can watch it, right? So if you got to leave your boat frequently, that's different. And then also, if you need to do work on the boat, that's another thing. Which is why I'm here where I am right now. We're here at Severn Marina and getting a ton of work done on the boat. So a lot of deliveries and just a lot of projects, and then we have a car here to run to different stores and stuff. So there are times you're going to be in a marina, but really, if you're gonna really manage your expenses, you will definitely minimize your time at any marinas. So I just put this 12-volt outlet right in here, so now you can plug in a paddleboard pump without even getting in the skipper's quarters, and trying it out. And just got a brand new paddleboard. There was this like 15-minute sale, Amazon Prime Day kind of a thing, and this $200 and something paddleboard was $144. So geez, it's my favorite paddleboard. I was looking at it because it's my favorite. So now it looks like maybe the quality's maybe been trimmed a little since the one I bought a couple years ago, but I don't know. We're just going to see how she works. So my other koi board's in the water right now. Or my former koi board, sold it with the boat. So yeah, seems to be working.